Okay, Bitcoin getting a big 3% rally. And again, I believe Bitcoin has likely bottomed or in a bottoming process. My guess is it's bottomed, as I continue to say. I believe that that occurred over here. This is Bitcoin futures. We bounced off the 200. Their Bitcoin price bounced off key horizontal and rising support, the rising trend line from the 2023 low. The 50-week moving average, right below it is Bitcoin's average price. I've talked about all these levels of support. I think is what's going to happen is I think Bitcoin's likely going to establish a higher low. Now, we could be getting a fake out rally with the stock market at Bitcoin today, a fake out rally back up April Fools. We get the drop, and it gives the illusion, the appearance that we're going to actually have this Bitcoin crash. We're going to have this Bitcoin or this stock market crash. The bears are warning us, and Bitcoin and the stock market bottom. S&P has major support below. Bitcoin could be rallying back up to get one more push down again to test this level. But it is very possible that the opposite happen. Think this through with me. When if we're being told this massive crash is going to happen with the Trump's tariff liberation day, and again, the stock market, when that happened in 2018, the stock market bottomed right after the tariffs began, already priced into the market. And again, that's why I keep saying this could be a sell the rumor, buy the news event. And the market can just shrug it off. That's what happened in 2018. Go watch my video. I'll link it at the end of this video. That's what happened with the S&P 500 in 2018. The risk is we get a divergence, another divergence reference point here, and end up forming a triple divergence. We already had this divergence give us this rebound back up. Could this form another divergence reference point? Possibly. As it won't. That won't be the case, but it's still something I don't want to rule out. But I do believe Bitcoin is in a bottoming process, and in my opinion, as I've continued to say since March 11th, the day of the bottom, I believe that that is the bottom. All kinds of bottoming signals that very day. I shared them with you. And then more signals as we began to rally up off of that low. Over here, this might be a bottom. Got to get back above the 20-period moving average. I talked about the risk of divergences developing on the RSI and the awesome oscillator at that time. If we got rejection at the 20, we got rejection at the 20. Told you there was risk of coming back down, forming divergences. We ended up doing that. So again, I think that you have, in all likelihood, the bottom, but I am open-minded to one more push down. Let's which way it plays out. Again, as long as we hold above the 74,000 area, Bitcoin is likely bottoming. You drop below 74,000 and stay below it, that's extremely bearish. You drop below it and then get back above it, well, that's bullish too. I don't think Bitcoin's going below 74,000 in my personal opinion. If it does, I think it will only be there briefly. I think you've got the bottom in, as I said, the guts to tell you what I think, but again, I'm telling you, if I'm wrong about that, again, you have a possible triple bullish divergence that might form here. Might see initially volatility with Trump's tariff liberation day, but then again, even if the market gaps down or Bitcoin gaps lower, it could be that we rally back up and get a powerful rally. I think Bitcoin is going to rally back up, back above the 90,000 area, back up to the 100,000 area for a test, and I eventually think we will exceed that level and move to a new all-time high to take out the previous peak at 109,000 over here. Now, again, we have flipped back to a bearish reversal of conditions. If we establish a higher low, as I think we got a doji yesterday at Bitcoin futures, if we establish a higher low, then again, we'll see if we turn back up or if, again, we test that low with Trump's Liberation Day to move back to test this low. But we're right now at the support zone. So again, I think you're going to end up seeing eventually the awesome oscillator and the MACD both move into positive territory. And I think we are establishing a bottom. Being attacked for daring to say that Bitcoin is bottoming and it's going to go rally to new highs. And if it goes and rallies to new highs, I think it's going to go up 70 to 85% from a recent low. I think it's going to be going up towards 135,000, 145,000, maybe even more if we take our time reaching my objective target. And I think it's going to top. And we got to flip this back to a bullish reversal of conditions. If Bitcoin is going to turn it around, we've got to see green here. We've got to flip the bars back to blue. get in positive territory. So again, do we see this drop on Bitcoin and still come back down here, test this low, or get a fake out to the upside, get a fake out to the downside, and then then go? Very well could play out that way, but could also be a fake out where, again, everybody believes that we're going to have this massive drop with the tariffs, and could it be we get this massive rally with the tariffs? I think you could probably drop and then bottom out and rally back up. And then we got Powell later this week as well on Friday. But again, I have been attacked over and over and over for saying that we likely have bottomed here and are probably going to end up moving back above the 50-period moving average, back up again above 100,000. Remember, the people back when I called the very day of the top, back over here, both December and January, it hit a trend line. I've talked about this at great length and detail. I've shown you the trend line. I talked about it the day that it was happening and told you we were likely going to sell off. People that are bearish right now and telling us there's no way we're going to rally, they're the same people, the herd. There was no way we were going down. Now they're telling us there's no way we're going up. And again, the herd get extremely bearish at bottoms, and they get very, very depressed, and they get extremely bullish, very, very bullish at tops, and again, emotional. Again, I'm a trader. I really don't care which way Bitcoin goes. It goes up and down. I trade it both ways. I trade it to the short side. I trade it to the long side. I really don't care. Herd, they care. They don't believe Bitcoin goes down. They only believe it goes up. I'm telling you, if we rally up to new highs, as I think we are, they're going to say that, Bitcoin, when we get to my target level and I sell into the rally and I flip the trade, they're going to be saying, the rally is just getting started, and they're going to be shouting out all these crazy targets, and they're going to ride it all the way down because that's what they do. Sitting here waiting patiently for this to go higher, and then when we get to the top, they're not going to see it as a top. In 2021, warning, I called the very day of the top in 2021 in November. We hit the trend line of resistance that I talked about at that time, and I was warning about the divergences, and I was called every filthy name in the book. To say, because it was believed at that time Bitcoin would never drop below 60,000 again, and it ended up dropping 78.5%. Again, I think we're going to rally back up. I think we're going to top. And people that told us this sell-off was never going to happen, the same people that are depressed right now and really frustrated, same people that are going to tell us, the moon boys, the herd, get to the top, that it's not a top, and Bitcoin's likely going to price in recession that is coming. Likely see that recession in the second half of 2025. I will not escape. I'm bullish now. I think it goes higher. I think it's going to get a massive rally, 70 to 85% or so. But then I think Bitcoin's going to top out. I have realistic targets. The herd, the moon boys, they have these ridiculous targets. I saw this one guy on the internet, social media. He's saying that in the weeks ahead we're going to be at $2 million. And again, these people are just gone. They are totally out of touch with reality. Now, again, just quickly, I think that the awesome oscillator in the weekly time frame, the MACD, I think they're going to firm back up. I think the awesome oscillator is going to get green bars as we go into April and May. Maybe it drags out into the summer, into June, July, August. I don't know. Again, I'm looking at a target of a trend line. And again, a number's not my target. A date is not my target. A trend line of resistance is my target. When we reach that, we'll see. I mean, we've gone sideways and now down 30%. And again, I think it's likely we're going to form this divergence here on the awesome oscillator. This one gave us this sell-off. Okay, this one will likely give us the reversal and the completion of the cycle top for the bull market. Then we'll move into the bear market. Even as we're selling off, the Bitcoin futures, the stochastic is trying to turn back up here. It's flattened out. It's trying to turn back up. Again, I think you're likely going to see a bullish reversal of conditions, getting back above the 10-week moving average and eventually back above the 20-week moving average, rally to the 50 in the daily time frame, the 100, and eventually clear those levels. I've had some indicators turn bullish and hanging in there, as we've turned off of this trend line right here. But you've got to be able to clear this trend line and get a breakout. And again, let me just tighten that up to exclude the shadows right here. If we can clear this area right now, then it's off to the races. But you got to clear it, clear the trend line, and get back above that. Again, if we get one more push down, then again, maybe we test that low. But regardless of which way it plays out, I told you I thought we had a bottom on March 11th, and I think that we're setting up a higher low right now. Now, with this rally, we're still on a sell signal on many indicators. Some of the indicators flipped to bullish and hanging in there with the bullish signal with the possible higher low, but others, again, we turned bullish and turned right back to bearish. And here, again, you got to break the downward trend line. You got to get back above the 200 period. You got to flip the bars back to green. You got to flip the cloud back to bullish. We're going to turn this around. I think that you're, again, pushing either a higher low here or a little bit lower levels. Maybe we get a deeper test of the lows, or maybe we try to take it out. I'm wrong about that low holding, and we end up getting, a multiple point divergence on indicators. But you better not, if you drop below 74,000, you better not stay below it. But again, my signals all begin to turn back to bullish if we get above our 200 period moving average. And I create my own indicators, and I try to name them, some of them, so I can keep it all straight, because I have created a lot of indicators. One right here, again, I've designed it to give a little heads up, start turning colors when a trend is about to change. Sell signal up here, didn't turn back to bullish to here. This move failed. So again, I'll be looking for the next bullish signal, and that's likely going to be when we break the downward trend and get back above the 200 period moving average. But just quickly, again, the rally failed. We had the bars turn back to green, but they're now back to red. But we still have bullish signals down here, support in the support zone on some of my indicators. So it's very possible that we get one more push down and still find support here, a higher low above this level. But if we can have a successful backtest of this trend line right here, we slightly breached it and can clear this other trend line going back to the highs over here. This trend line right here, and this is the upper boundary again, the bull flag. But if we can break this trend line right here that I've been talking about and get above our 200 period, that would be extremely bullish. So again, do we get a higher low here, or go a little bit lower, get a higher low? My guess is the low is going to hold out. If I'm wrong, then we get one more push down and bottom out. But again, the bears, the herd, everybody's very, very bearish. Unless we're about to get a crash with Trump's tariff Liberation Day, and it's likely going to produce a bottom. But we got to see things turn back to green. With this rally, we're trying to get momentum turning here. We're trying to turn some momentum. Again, got to flip everything back to green if we're going to turn this around. We're likely in a bottoming process. And that's why some of my signals turning bullish could be warning. We're in a bottoming process. I think that's likely the case. Again, we're getting a 3% rally. We're up just over 3% at the moment here during this session here, the day before Liberation Day here on April Fool's Day. I do expect a breakout of this trend line. Look, this trend line right here, we came back and we just back tested it, kind of overthrew it right here. I talked about that trend line at great length and detail. Now we're getting this rally, and again, we've stalled up the trend line going back to the highs right here. And that trend line connected here, excluding the shadow, connected to this point. That's taken us right up to these highs right here. Our 200 period is right there at that level. Do we see a breakout with Bitcoin? And that's it. We see the opposite happen to what everybody's telling us is going to happen. Or do we get a fake out move and we get one more drop down to test this low into the support zone, area? We're bouncing at the support zone support area right now, but do we drop back down, into this area, or we could even draw it up into right here where we bounced at the upper end, if we exclude the shadow, right there. But do we drop back deeper to test this low, or do we just rally up again, regardless how it plays out? I mean, whether we get another fake out move to the downside or not, I think Bitcoin's going to bottom. When we had the tariffs start in 2018, though, stock market bottomed and it rallied and made new highs. About this in my video yesterday. So again, we've got the 50 just right below right above the 200 period moving average. If we get a massive rally, it could be prevented from getting a cross, or the cross sometimes in the last few consolidations, the cross has marked to bottom If you can get the death cross and get back above the 200 and the 50, which is what we've done. We've done in the past. An example of that right here, we got the death cross at the 2023 September low. And again, hitting the horizontal support level, you got that death cross that marked the bottom, and then eventually we got back above the 50, got back above the 200 here, and it was off to the races, and eventually you got a breakout above overhead resistance. Well, I've drawn these other trend lines here, this one right here in the more recent price action, this one going back. The one we got to pay attention to is this one from the highs up here, the blue one, because that is a parallel boundary with this lower boundary, and it's forming a bull flag for Bitcoin. And I think we're headed up to that level, and that's above our 50, but it's headed back to test our 100 period moving average, which is just above it. Again, Bitcoin follows the 100 period moving average. You got to get back above it in order to rally back up to the overhead resistance up here and right here at 100,000 to be able to get back up above this resistance area of 100,000. You got to be able to get a breakout here of the bull flag. You got to be able to get back above the 100 period moving average. Bears are telling us, oh, we have a bear flag. Well, we don't have a bear flag. We have a rising wedge pattern that, again, this could be a wave one. You could have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a series of threes in a leading diagonal if we get a higher low. Could be we get this as a bottom, or we have an A, a B, and then we get a C. And we come back down here, we hold above this level. But I don't think we're going to drop below Bitcoin's average price. And again, I think the odds greatly favor you have a bottom in. And I think you're setting up a higher low. And if we have an ABC move here, or an A, or the move is done here, and we get a breakout of that black downward trend line from these highs right here, then we're on our way to likely go to here. And again, I think you can clear it. If you have a 1 and a 2 already done, and I'm looking at 3, 4, and 5 and going higher, okay? Up to test 100,000. Again, I believe Bitcoin's bottomed in all likelihood, or in a bottoming process. I think the odds greatly favor this level is going to hold. If we take out Bitcoin's average price and can't get back above it, that's extremely bearish. It's more likely we're going to bottom here. And even if we come back down and make a new low, it's likely that we're going to bottom around Bitcoin's average price just under this area. If we get the triple bullish divergence, the awesome oscillator, set up a multiple bullish divergence on the RSI, kinds of things. But again, my guess is that we have a bottom in, or we're about to bottom, and I am leaning towards that Bitcoin has bottomed. As we get this sell-off, again, we're being told this bear flag, and this now they're saying, oh, it's a back test, it's a back test. And it's likely we're going to bottom surrounding this area in our 50-week. And we may have already seen a bottom. Over here, we balanced out the 50-week moving average and our trend line from the 2023 low. We're testing it right now. So again, it's possible that the pullback is done, or it goes something like that. So again, or comes up to the trend line and comes something like that, and then we go. Regardless, I think this low is likely going to hold, but I'm open-minded to it not holding. But again, like I said, use Bitcoin's average price, the 50-week moving average, the trend line in from the 2023 low, horizontal support at 74,000. Then it's time to get extremely bearish. I don't think that's going to happen. I think you're forming a bottom. I think the bottom is probably already in, as I've said, but I'm open-minded to the other scenario of the multiple point divergence on the awesome oscillator. We've got the 10 back above the 20. Eventually, I think Bitcoin will get back above the 50, and eventually we'll get the 10 and 20 back above the 50. But I think you're going to get a breakout here. Could see it here before the weekends. This is a fake out rally. We could get another fake out to the downside, but then bottom out. And again, start going down, the bears are going to tell us, here it comes, and then we bottom. You see what I'm saying? Higher low or a lower low, maybe a lower low, but I think more likely a higher low. But that's just what I think. My Bitcoin signals try to turn back to bullish. They reverted right back to bearish. They're bearish right now. I think we're going to see, again, this low hold. And again, either we get one more pullback for a higher low into the support zone here, or again, we're trying to bottom and we flip everything back to bullish. But I think you're going to see this happen. And I think, again, Trump's Tariff Liberation Day will end up marking a bottom, both the stock market and for Bitcoin. And many of the indicators you see in my videos, I write my own programs for many of my indicators that I use, and programmed this to turn the bars to turn to red when we start to turn. And again, sometimes you get, and again, when you get it, it means you're either going, when they go back and forth, you're either going sideways. The bars are red, you're going down. If the bars are green, you're going up. But you can get the sideways moves, and that's what we've had right here. We started to see some bars turning to green over here, but then they have flipped back to red, and we're getting green, red, and it's really just telling us we're kind of going sideways here, even with today's rally. But it's likely that when we break this trend line right here, that you're going to see the green bars reappear, whether we get another dump or whether we try to do it immediately and this low can hold as a higher low, or we get one more push down and then do it. Regardless, that's what I think is going to happen. When you break above this trend line, you're likely going to flip my bars back to green, and we're going to get an explosive move back up to test the resistance zone up here and this other trend line right here. And maybe we break this other trend line. This is the upper boundary of the bull flag. Maybe we break that and then back test it. My guess is we've already have bottomed, and I think we're in a bottoming process for a higher low at this time. So this is an important trend line in my mind. And when we see the bars begin to flip back to green, the line turn back to blue, and it's going from red to blue to red. When it goes back to blue, again, you're likely going to be getting a breakout. You're likely going to be, again, coming up and taking out these highs right here and moving towards the resistance zone. I create so many indicators. I name some of them to keep them straight because I do a lot of programming. So I named this the trend flip trigger. But I have Bollinger Bands here, and the Bollinger Bands on Bitcoin are tightening up. Can you see this? And this is what we had right before the drop. This is what we had. Push down and then back up. That's what I'm saying. We may undercut that lower Bollinger Band to test this low. And again, I think this low is going to hold on the March 11th low there at 76,600. But again, could we see something like this where you go down and then you go back up? And again, we saw that previously with this high as well, the tightening of the Bollinger Bands. Talked about this in the last video. I'll be watching. Do we get another bottoming signal? And have to. This might be marking a bottom. This rally failed, but we didn't get one here. We still may get one here, but this very well could be saying, hey, we're in this bottom here. And we didn't even close below that level. So again, going to be watching, do we get another bottoming signal? We don't have to, but we got to see everything flip back to bullish. So I think, again, you're probably, if we get a fake out rally today and it's followed by another fake out, you get a fake out sell-off. Here comes a crash out, we're all going to die. And then you bottom out. Rally could be trying to make the sell-off look more dramatic. That's why we're getting this rally ahead of the tariffs being announced, and then we bottom out. We get this massive rally. But this is telling you something big's going to happen. My guess is it's going to be a big move up, but you're probably going to come down to this level here in all likelihood. But if you just break out, then great. We break out, then you've got a higher low, and we get a higher high, and we move above this level. And again, I'm open-minded to that. I'm just telling you, I think I'm probably going to get one more push down. I could be wrong about that, but I have the guts to tell you exactly what I think. But some beautiful signals here. A bottoming signal, you had a top over here, bottom over here, and a top over here. Again, this is where the herd was telling us there's no possible way we go down. I correctly called both of those tops. Right here, we might have a bottom, but you got to get back above the 200. And I told you we might form a divergence with the RSI and other indicators that ended up happening. So again, I told you we had a good shot of a bottom here. I called another bottom right here on the 11th because, again, we had all kinds of warning signs that a bottom, and we were hitting major support. Had warning signs that a bottom was developing with indicators, as I talked about at the time. And I talked about that before the rally back up ever took place. I talked about it the very day of the bottom. Because I have good indicators, proven to be correct 97.1% of the time. But we got to get back above that 200 period. That's a black line right here. We got to see momentum flip back to bullish. The risk is that this fails and we still come back here, but I don't think we're going to take out Bitcoin's average price. And if we do, I don't think we're going to be there very long. I think that this low is likely going to hold. Again, I warned you at the first bottom about the bottoming signals there. I warned you about the bottoming signals right here. And again, the very day it happened, and then it was confirmed the next day. Warned you about all of that. We also have this little shaded area telling us that a squeeze move is getting ready to happen. So again, we'll be watching. Do we get one more push down and then go back up? But we'll be watching this low and Bitcoin's average price. That's that line right there. We can break out of the downward trend line. We need to see the balance of power go back into positive territory. We've had that rebound back up above the 200, now dropping back below. Balance of power is not shifted. We need to see the balance of power go back to the bulls, going to green, if we're to get a breakout of that downward trend line. It's likely that that will shift when we break that downward trend line, which I believe is going to happen very soon. You see that? I think Bitcoin is going to bottom here, here at this low or slightly lower, but I think the bottom is already in here. Again, we got this 13 count. And I told you again, the last time we had a 13 count, it marked the December top. These counts have done a very, very good job. It's not perfect, but going price exhaustion to the downside, the 13 countdown buy signal. Again, we might go under and undercut that low a little bit and then bottom out. We have an April Fool's rally followed by another sell-off, create this dramatic appearance that we're about to crash, and then we bottom out. Complete the bottoming process. Again, I think that this low is likely going to hold. Not, I think you're going to just dip below it briefly and then rebound back up. But I do believe Bitcoin has likely bottomed. Again, I got the guts to tell you what I think, but I'm telling you what could happen if I'm wrong about that. But I tell you what I think. So again, I think you're going to see this move or this rally if we can build upon it. And again, break the downward trend right here. If you can break the downward trend right now, then off to the races. You're probably going to get a push back down and then try to break that area, and it's probably going to be an ABC that looks something like that. This could be it. I'm open-minded to that. We'll see if we can break out, but I am looking for a bottom, as I continue to say. Again, this 13 count pointed out to you. We had that 9 count intraday. So far, we're rallying. Now, maybe we go a little bit lower. Sometimes you do. We had the 9 count. We went a little bit higher, and then we turned. Could see something like that. Very possible. These counts mark these bottoms right on the nose. We got a 13 here, went a little bit lower to get the 9 count. A 13-9 is a reversal pattern. I think you either got a bottom here or you get one more push down, and then you get the bottom. But I think that, again, you're likely going to establish a higher low. I'm open-minded to this being a bottom, and it certainly could be if we can break the downward trend line. I remain bullish from these lows over here, as I've talked about, establishing my position around the 200 period moving average, and apparently others have done that because we had that rally off of just under the 200 period backup to test it. You've got big money buying. You've got BlackRock and Fidelity and Strategy's buying more now. We had a big buy from Strategy here that's given us hope. There have been others, and you've got some whales that are buying. And I think we're establishing a buy.